It was the early 1960s. John F. Kennedy was serving as President of the United States. General Motors was the largest company in America. Minimum wage was about $1 per hour, and the average household income was just $5,600 per year. The Beatles were taking the world by storm, and miniskirts and tie-dye clothing were the newest fashion trends. In the midst of it all, a young man by the name of Bob Romadka began rallying local leaders together. He wanted people to have new reasons to build their lives and raise their families in an area that had so much potential for growth. Here we share the story behind how and why MedStar Franklin Square Medical Center and the Community College of Baltimore County found their permanent homes. And we celebrate the value that both have brought to Eastern Baltimore County over the years.
I was born and raised in Baltimore City. Having met my wife, Eleanor, her mother's family lived in Middle River, Baltimore County. So I had the opportunity to visit with them many times before we were married, and that's how it all started. I joined the Chamber of Commerce in 1955. So that's how I got to know there was a need for people that wanted further education. It wasn't until 1957 that the word community college came out. President Truman is the one that suggested for soldiers that were coming out of the service that there was a need for them to go to school, and they came up with this concept of a community college. They appointed a citizens committee, and they asked me to be chairman of that committee and sort of be a liaison between the community college and the school board. Our first community college was held in Kenwood High School, right there in Essex. And on the second floor in one of the schoolrooms is where we had our first community college. I think it was like 7 students. We moved rather quickly from Kenwood High School to a schoolhouse that was in Essex, and that was there on Woodward Avenue. And the county fixed it up, and we had quite a few students going. Shortly after that, the county realized that they really needed a larger campus, and that's where they bought part of the Mace Farm, which was located there in Rosedale. There were no hospitals in Baltimore County. If you wanted to go to a hospital, you had to go to Baltimore City. And the reason for that is that everybody lived in the city. We had a population of 1 million people. Franklin Square was in the western part of Baltimore City. A lot of farmland in Baltimore County at that time. So developers took advantage of that and developed some of the farms with individual homes or row homes. So when that started to happen, that's when the hospitals start moving into the county, because people moving into the county and hospitals wanted to be closer to them. So in my mind, I'm saying, hey, you got the community college, and now you might have a hospital. Being on the school board, I knew there was land right next to where the community college was. So it all worked out very well. And the hospital was able to move right next to the community college.
After the fall of 1967, the campus went to our current location, and that was in the spring of '68. At that point, we were still small. We had a 130-acre campus, and on the campus were two major buildings. One was the administration and instructional building. The other was the Newfer Library. I mean, it was really exciting for us as students. We had just left a very small environment, and now we're looking around and there are major buildings that were on campus and there were more to be built. In fact, there was construction at the time. So it was exciting.
I was a member of the counseling department here, and the very first year I was full-time is the year the physician assistant program started at the community college. Also here at the time was the nursing program. The allied health programs grew with such speed that in the counseling department, we designated one and then two people to be experts in those content areas because we thought that was the best way we could help students.
When I first started in 1979, I was coming out of a master's degree and wanted to go into higher education, teaching physical education here, coaching indoor, outdoor, cross-country, track. Well, the college when I got here at that point was only about 4 or 5 buildings, and it was truly a community. It was all new, but there were a lot of really good relationships. Everybody was helping everybody. Anybody who came in, we kind of knew what high school they went to and who their coaches were, and everybody who worked here. It was like a functional family, if you will. We were very, not real small ever. About 6,000 students, I think, when I first got here. Over the years, we had such growth. Some of it was so fast, I think, maybe in the 90s to 2000, and it just kept growing and growing. Buildings, we kept getting capital funds. All the things that we were doing expanded out of the community. So that community college that we started with is now growing into an institution, a total higher education institution.
I came to CCBC in November of 2005. The Community College of Baltimore County was only a few years old. We had been 3 separate and very good community colleges up until that time. But in 1998, the board made a very brave decision to bring all 3 together as one. And so since that time, we have been the Community College of Baltimore County. Today, we stand as the largest community college in the state of Maryland and truly one of the best in the country.
After being here some 20 odd years, you would hope to see growth here. And there's been a lot at CCBC, students, faculty, diversity that we have on our campuses, the programming we have. And we're always doing something innovative in terms of education. I mean, we are the leaders, I think, and I'm biased saying that, in education in Baltimore County.
Looking back, I was in a couple-room wooden schoolhouse, transferred over to this campus and watched it grow. It's a fantastic feeling to see the growth. Back when I was a student again, it was maybe a little over 1,000 students. Now the system, Community College of Baltimore County, there are tens of thousands of students. To watch that kind of growth and involvement and the amount of assistance it provides to the community in its economic growth, personal growth for the student, it's incredible.
Carol Eustace was a longtime employee at the Community College of Baltimore County and at Essex Community College before that. Carol was a coach, and somehow or other, she got herself selected as the Dean of Health Professions. It was Carol who went out and raised the first $1 million for the community college. It was Carol who continuously built new programming from the ground up. It was Carol who actually truly raised the level of enrollment within the various health professions that were in the School of Health Professions. And when she passed away of cancer, there wasn't one of us who doubted that this Health Professions Building, which was her vision. In all the years she was the dean, this is what she worked for. That this was the building that had to be named for Carol Eustace. She built the School of Health Professions that exists today.
I can remember when Dr. Thomas Crawford asked my dad to come take a look at this property. They were going to build a new hospital and move Franklin Square from Calhoun Street in the city here to the county. My dad had been friends with Tom Crawford in residency at University of Maryland. I think the conversation went like, hey, there's going to be a few of us here. We're going to be the chiefs and we can make a difference. Tom Crawford, Phil Ferris, Jeff Ferris, and my brother Jim Ferris. We were here on the property walking around when it was just girders and no helmets, no crew here, no tapes warning you don't walk this place. We just walked around and that was going to be the cafeteria and that was going to be the operating room. So that's an early memory.
I worked here the first day that we opened in 1969. It was exciting because no other hospitals had moved yet. Well, I remember Franklin Square was 2 stories. It was friendly and, it had like a community awareness.
The hospital had to build another building that would be called the medical center. It was something like $175 million to build this center that they wanted. That's when other community hospitals and Franklin Square started to come together, and that's how MedStar came to be what it is today.
As the board developed under the new MedStar health system, one of the things we wanted to do is to look at the facilities that we had and to figure out what were the facilities we needed to meet the community's needs. And the first thing that we built was the cancer center across the street. The Harry and Jeanette Weinberg Foundation was very generous and provided us with the funding to do the cancer center. The next step was really to see if we could get into the MedStar queue for capital funding. And that's when we came up with the patient tower. The patient tower was transformative, in my opinion. And the reason it was transformative was it was the largest financial commitment that MedStar Health had made to capital funding of a particular facility. And that was huge because it sent a signal to the community that MedStar really cared about Eastern Baltimore County and about the provision of health services. With the patient facility, we were the first hospital, maybe in Baltimore County, to go with only private rooms. And that was huge, to be able to offer our community the best in private rooms, the best in technology in this patient tower. It was just tremendous. And it really was transformative to the hospital. And of course, in the course of doing this patient tower, we looked at the surgery center and went, ooh, we've got a problem here. Because as much as we had provided for patient rooms, we had to take care of the surgery center because it was sort of off not in a corner exactly, but it was in a very small space that hadn't been renovated in 30 years. What were we going to do about it? And that led then to discussions about acquiring property from Baltimore County in order to build the surgery center. And those discussions took years, but obviously were very fruitful because we have really a first-class surgery center now at the facility.
What's been incredible to see at Franklin Square is how over the years we have evolved as the community has grown, as the volume of patients using this hospital has grown, as MedStar Health has recognized this community as one of the fastest growing in our entire region. We have steadily built tertiary services into the fabric of what has become one of the largest community hospitals in the region.
Dr. Curtinitis, when we broke ground for the patient tower, was one of the presenters. And what she emphasized in her presentation was the synergy between the hospital and the college. She pointed out that the community college was the largest provider of medical education for undergraduates in the state of Maryland, and that would not have been possible without the collaboration with MedStar Franklin Square Hospital Center. And that was absolutely critical to what they could provide students at the college.
This hospital is growing, and it's providing wonderful care for patients. I'm proud to be part of that.
When the college was formed and came here to the campus, actually in 1968, Franklin Square was coming in this direction in the same time frame. It brought with it its nursing program, directed by a woman named Helen Kramer, and that hospital diploma program became a community college-based associate degree in nursing program, an ADN program, sitting for the same licensing exam as any nursing program. They used to be trained in hospitals without credit, in universities at the baccalaureate degree level, and here it became an associate degree nursing program. So that was from Franklin Square Hospital to Essex Community College just because the hospital moved and the nursing program director moved with it.
The college opened here on this site in 1967, and the hospital shortly thereafter. And so what happened to the community here in eastern Baltimore County was that a college and a community hospital were in the midst of the population here. And there was great excitement about that and great interest in the curricular offerings of the college, as well as the many benefits of having a community hospital close by. In addition, the regional center of the Baltimore County Health Department was located right on the Franklin Square property. And from the beginning, it was associated with the efforts of the college and the hospital to promote allied health programming for the people in eastern Baltimore County.
CCBC and MedStar Franklin Square, they are the pillars of this community. Here at CCBC, we educate them, and then they go across the walk and MedStar Franklin Square employs them.
By far the largest component of our staff are our nurses, right? Nurses are the lifeblood of a hospital. They are the primary caregivers for our patients. We know that when you have outstanding nurses, you have outstanding care. That is just the truth. It's the truth here at Franklin Square. It's a truth at every hospital in the country. CCBC is one of the largest nursing programs in the region, and we are their main clinical partner. And so one of the most wonderful parts of my day is when I'm walking through the halls, I'm at the elevator, I'm going up the stairs, and I see that group of CCBC nursing students. That's our future, right? That is the life of the hospital. And so what a wonderful thing to share a campus with a community college and to have collaborative clinical programs. That's how we build our workforce for tomorrow, with people who are truly dedicated to this place and this community.
We have about 54 different nursing and allied healthcare programs. That hospital is dependent on our ability to educate them to the highest possible level. And I'm really proud to say that when we have our nursing pinnings, I often ask how many of you already have a job, and most hands go up. And so that tells you there's an extraordinarily high level of respect and camaraderie. We could not get our healthcare students as well prepared as we can without the hospital being willing to serve as the clinical site.
We have a collaborative partnership with CCBC, and it really helps to drive over their students over here. So we're able to provide clinical placements here at the hospital, and then in turn, that feeds our need for new to practice nurses and helps our vacancy rate here at the hospital.
My first experience with MedStar Franklin Square, I had my fundamentals clinical on Tower 6. I really enjoyed it. I fell in love with it. One of the nurses that I was partnered with told me about the MedStar Franklin Square externship program. So as soon as I had my CNA and I was eligible to apply to the program, I did, and started in June of 2023 as an extern.
The Student Nurse Extern program is a dynamic program that allows student nurses to be employed here at the hospital, and it allows them to get additional clinical time here on our units, paired one-on-one with a nurse. So they really get to practice those skills that they've learned in the sim lab over at CCBC on real patients.
During that program, I learned everything. I was able to administer medications under the supervision of the nurse I was assigned with, attend IMOC rounds, practice writing notes, doing assessments. Everything that you learn in nursing school, I was able to do and gain confidence in my skills and my abilities so that when I became a nurse, I wasn't terrified. I was confident in myself and I knew what I could do, and that's what I gained. I knew that I wanted to work here halfway through my externship experience. I made a lot of valuable connections and resources, so when the time came for me to try to find a job, it was a very seamless transition and easy for me to do. I graduated from CCBC in May of 2024 with an Associates of Nursing, and then I started at MedStar Franklin Square 2 weeks later.
I think our partnership with CCBC really allows us to streamline that transition to practice from our nursing students. And a lot of the CCBC students are from our area, they're from our community, and they want to work in their community. And so our partnership allows them to not only be educated in their community, but then again, transition to practice here at Franklin Square.
Because we have this extraordinarily strong relationship, we are able to give a gift to the community, a very, very well-trained, well-educated nursing and allied healthcare personnel.
The partnership between CCBC and MedStar Franklin Square really benefited me because I was able to get a great education from CCBC and use that and gain clinical experience at MedStar Franklin Square. I was able to use those skills to get a great job, and they will also pave the way for the rest of my career. Every day, my kids always ask me, are you going to work to help people? And I can say, yes, I'm going to work to help people. And it makes me feel happy, and it makes them feel happy that I'm going to help people.
Overall, I am most proud of the fact that 3 colleges finally became one and now hold the stature of being one of the top community colleges in the country. But there's something else that I would add, and it is this. The Community College of Baltimore County was the only college 2 or 4 year, not only in the state, but almost in the whole country that stayed fully open during the pandemic. And the reason we did that was because we knew we had probably 8,000 to 10,000 students who would not be able to do digital learning and who would have their educational pursuits just chopped. And so when we made that decision, it really galvanized the whole institution. So most of our students, probably 30,000 of them, were studying remotely. But that 10,000 who needed us to remain open during those 2 years when everyone else was closed, that's CCBC living its mission.
In the age of high-cost college educations, I believe this is high-quality, superb education that allows our students to go on and finish at 4-year schools and save their money for graduate school, which is what we would say to students over and over again. The value of our community college education is a tremendous asset to our students.
There are these simulation labs now, respiratory care and nursing and the physician's assistant program, that enabled students to see every kind of disease they need to see and not wait on the possibility of seeing one of them at a clinical site.
We made a commitment to come out of the pandemic with vision and strength. And for us, that means investing, and we are investing millions in becoming the institution we need to be for today. Making sure we are providing not only the faculty and the academic curriculum, but making sure we're providing the facilities, the equipment, the level of technology that these disciplines need, and the kind of relationships with both business and industry and with our four-year partners. What does the contemporary medical community need from us? What does our partner right across the road need? And that's what we're attempting to provide.
Franklin Square now is the best of both worlds. It's both a community hospital still providing those services. Our emergency department remains one of the busiest in the state. We have active women's and infant services. We have active behavioral health services. We are a busy community hospital. And we have layered on, as the community needs have grown, advanced tertiary services similar to what you would see in a large academic medical center. Advanced cardiovascular, cardiac catheterization capabilities. Integrated surgical services with one of the largest robotic surgery platforms in the region. A level 3 neonatal intensive care unit that is among the most state-of-the-art in the region. Those are the things that we have built here at Franklin that make this a special place, and the community benefits from that, and that they have access to those services close to home.
MedStar Franklin Square Medical Center is a 4-time magnet designated hospital. And what that means is that we have shown that our organization values the work of nurses and the voice that nurses have. So we're a big part of changing the practice here, making it better for our patients, and really just creating a culture of nursing excellence. I love supporting new nurses. It takes a lot to want to get into nursing and into healthcare, and we know that it's really hard. And so I want to honor the years of work that it's taken for our nursing students to graduate and get into this position, and I want them to love it here.
I am the most recent and current leader of this organization. I won't be the last. And for my time right now, and for those that are going to come after me, I feel that honoring that legacy and understanding that legacy and committing every day to build on that legacy, it's the most fundamental thing that I can do and that future leaders here can do to honor what people like Bob and Jeff and Marlene and John Gontram and all of their colleagues have done before us.
Yes, I've been here since 1990, and yes, there have been a lot of changes. It's grown from, I think, its original reputation and maybe being a hospital of convenience where 695 crosses 95 to their goal of a hospital of destination. I think more and more it's like a tertiary care referral center. The complexity of the patients we have has increased.
My association with MedStar Franklin Square Medical Center has been the most rewarding experience of my professional life. It made commitments to the community, and it kept every one of those commitments that it could possibly keep. It's also been extremely rewarding that MedStar Health System itself has made such a commitment to Franklin Square. We could not have a better working relationship than we have with the health system. And that's incredibly rewarding. It's incredibly energizing because it means that we contribute to the system and to the system's health. And they recognize how valuable this hospital center is to the community.
I think that history is important because you can't go forward if you don't know where you've been. And I think sharing that history, it just strengthens the community once again. It gives the community and faculty and staff this connection and where we all know that we're doing the right thing. We're moving generations forward. We're moving staff and students forward for all, again, of the uplifting of the community.
Essex has been an integral part of my life. I was not only a student, but I was an employee here. And then I went on to work with them at a university level. I also was involved with their foundation board, and I served on that for many years. There would be no Vince Pecora without this college, and I'm just so proud of what this college has become.
When I pulled up on the campus today, after not having been here for many decades, I saw a bunch of the old buildings. I even parked in a parking space, was my parking space when I was the Dean of Instruction. So the campus has grown enormously. And I have a lot of pride in what I experienced. I think the emotion I felt is because it's something I started, and guess what? It's still here, thriving and growing all these years later.
I was a nurse here at Franklin Square for 45 years. I took care of thousands of patients. I was president of the auxiliary for 8 years. I volunteered here for 9,500 hours, and I'm still volunteering because I wanted to give back to the hospital because it's my hospital.
And we think about, the original trustees, the people that had the vision to look out at a field in eastern Baltimore County to say, there is going to be something explosive happening out here. The population here is going to grow. We know people are going to want to live out in this area, they're going to want to work out in this area, and they're going to want to receive their education and their healthcare out in this area. And there's perhaps nobody who speaks to that vision more than Bob Romadka. And that's really what Bob says when you talk to me. He says, well, I moved my law practice out here. I wanted to live here, and I wanted to have services around where I lived, and I wanted my friends and colleagues to have the same. It's one thing to say that. It's another to have the vision and the know-how, the expertise, and the network to actually make that happen. And then over 6 decades to continue to do that is remarkable.
Bob Romadka actually, from the very beginning in 1957, has been almost like the spirit of Baltimore County. He put himself in a position of having extraordinary community influence. And the vision that he created, developed, moved forward, lobbied for, was to make sure that Baltimore County had a community college and a hospital. And that's because he is one of the most community-spirited people I have ever met.
So many lives are being improved as a result of our community college. And so many lives are being saved as a result of our hospital. It's just unbelievable. And it just makes me feel so good that I've been a part of this.